All right. Good morning, everybody. We have a special treat for you guys today. I have with me Jenna Banks, the author of I Love Me More, How to Find Happiness and Success Through Self-Love. Today, Jenna will be doing a short reading from her book. And Jenna, to start us off, please introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about why you wrote I Love Me More, and then we'll get started from there.
Yes, thank you so much for asking, Kesley. So my name is Jenna Banks. This is my book, I Love Me More, which came out on International Women's Day, so March 8th of this year, 2022. And it was such a blessing to be able to release on that date, actually quite proud. And yeah, so a little bit about me. I come from not the best of backgrounds. I had a really rough childhood. I was raised in a very strict, almost cult-like religious home, and I was dying to escape. I finally got out at the age of 14, left my father's home, went to my mother's home, which was also quite traumatic for me. Ended up being kicked out at 16, had to get my GED, couldn't even finish college, ended up getting pregnant and married at the age of 19, and then divorced and a single mom at 22. Meanwhile, leading up to that, I was also very suicidal as a teenager. In fact, I almost succeeded in my suicide attempt. The final one led me in the hospital in a coma. Thankfully, though, I survived all of that. And I not only learned to survive, which took quite some time to get past survival skills, but learned to thrive, and I did that through learning to love myself, not even just love myself, though, love myself more than everyone else. And that included my child, my husband, my bosses, all of that, because the truth is, it's not enough just to love yourself. We can love ourselves and still be everyone's errand runner, right? We can love ourselves and we can still not go for our dream jobs. We could love ourselves and still not feel confident enough to truly express our feelings and desires to others. So it's not enough to love yourself more from what I learned. Or I'm sorry, it's not enough to just love yourself from what I learned. You have to love yourself more than the kids, more than your husband, more than, or your partner, more than your boss, more than your family. And when you do, you not only show yourself more love, but by doing that, you actually have way more love to give to everyone else. It really is the opposite of how we've been raised. And so what prompted me to write this book is actually, I went to dinner one night with a friend of mine shortly after I broke up with someone that I was really in love with. I dated him for about 5 months, but I quickly could tell that this man was not going to be capable of meeting my needs and valuing me as much as I valued myself. And so I thought, well, as much as I love him, he's not going to give me what I need. And so I'm going to have to walk away from this. Now, I was really heartbroken, Kesley. I had a huge hole in my heart. I was so hopeful he'd come around and realize what he lost. But at the same time, I also was quite resolute in that, nope, this is not going to work. And so I go to dinner with my friend, Emily, and she's like, please explain to me why you broke up with this man and why you don't just get back together with him if you love him so much. She knew I was hurting from the breakup. And I said, well, no, because I love me more. And she's like, what? I don't understand. And I go, well, yeah, I love myself more than I love anyone else. And if he's not going to value me as much as I value myself, I owe it to myself to walk away. And I really thought that was enough of an explanation, but it wasn't. And so she kept grilling me because she really wanted to understand this, because I think that evening she really wanted to try and get us back together. But my message to her was very compelling. So she tried to wrap her head around it. And I did my best to explain that evening. Now, what I didn't know was she went home and thought about this and thought about it and thought about it. And a few weeks later, it finally clicked. She had been in a relationship with someone who hadn't been treating her right, who constantly left her feeling perplexed about the meanings behind his text messages. He'd always cancel on her. He didn't make her feel valued, needed, or wanted. And she just kept trying and holding on to whatever was in the beginning of their relationship instead of seeing what he was really giving her. And so it clicked for her one day. She's like, oh my gosh, I am not loving myself or valuing myself by allowing myself to be treated like this. And that one story of I Love Me More gave her the power to completely walk away and not look back and not go through the breakups and the get back. And, she knew this man wasn't capable of giving her what she needed. And she valued herself more and walked away. And, a year later, she ended up meeting and falling in love with an amazing man who she's now engaged to. And they're definitely getting married. They've been together for a couple of years now. And I just thought, wow, that is such a compelling story. And so she asked me to think about what got me to that place where I could confidently say, I love me more, and choose myself and put myself first and have no hesitation about it. And I thought, oh, well, that'd be easy. So I start writing it down. I was like, oh my God, actually, it's not that simple. In fact, it took a lifetime of overcoming all the trauma to get to the place where I'd say, no, I'm not going to self-sacrifice. I'm going to learn how to set boundaries. All these things that I was raised to do, which was the opposite of self-love. I was raised not to love myself. I had to learn on my own what that looked like. And I didn't even know the term self-love. I just learned to put myself first. And it paid off in spades. I went on to, do very well in corporate, sold my last company for $500,000. And I thought, you know what? I need to write this down for others. And if this helped me so much in my life, find my happiness and success, I need to share this with others. And so it's a very personal journey, personal story. But you know what? I pepper it, Kesley, with a lot of research, a lot of data, a lot of other experts and doctors and therapists, you name it, because I wanted to show that, look, it's not just me who's found this out for myself. I am no doctor. I am no expert. I'm only an expert in me. But here is some information from other experts that can show you that there really is science behind this and a lot of research as well.
And I can definitely say, as someone who has read I Love Me More, it is such a powerful, powerful book. If you have ever found yourself people pleasing or seeking external validation or doing things for others and saying no to yourself to say yes to others and overexerting yourself to be everybody for everyone else, you need to read this book. Trust me, it is so powerful. Every single chapter, I thought, wow, she is really speaking to all of us who have ever kind of gone through something like this or some sort of, stimulation where we're trying to decide, is loving myself too much? Am I staying with this person for the potential? Am I staying, in this situation because, what if? Am I looking for like what might be better? What might come of this, instead of loving yourself and being like, you know what, this is not the situation for me. I need to walk away. I need to love myself more. It is so eye-opening. So Jenna, thank you so much for sharing that with us. I will let you go right into your reading. So guys, Jenna's going to do an excerpt from her book, and then I will be linking after we're done, where you can purchase the book, and you can reach out to Jenna on Instagram. But Jenna, I'll let you take it from here.
Thank you, Kesley. Yeah, so I'm going to read right from the middle of the book. It's chapter 12, Taking Control of Your Time and Attention is the chapter. I had only been working as a business development manager at a technology consulting firm for about a month or two. Still the new kid on the block, I was excited to meet the president, who had flown into town from India to spend the week visiting our office. My first time getting to meet him was during our Monday morning weekly company meeting. The president sat at the head of the table in the boardroom, turned toward me as if to say in a private conversation, "It would be nice to have some coffee from the Starbucks downstairs. Wouldn't you like some coffee as well, Jenna?" I actually didn't want any coffee, so I responded, "No, thank you. I don't drink coffee this late in the day." My boss, the company VP, just stared at me, his mouth gaping open, like I had just told this man to jump off a cliff or something. I could tell something was wrong, but I was out of the loop as to whatever it was. Another colleague of mine, Mike, who had the same title as I did, tried to ease the tension in the room by rephrasing the question to me in the form of a not so subtle hint with eyebrows raised, something along the lines of, "Jenna, you love a good Starbucks latte. Wouldn't you like to have a cup right now?" "No, Mike," I answered. "If I have coffee right now, I will be awake all night long. I'll skip it." The meeting went on, and we all survived without coffee. Afterward, when back at our desks, Mike asked me to help him learn to use the coffee maker in the break room. I don't know why you're asking me, I joked with Mike. I've never used the darn thing. I went about the rest of my day without giving this coffee conundrum a second thought. I didn't want or need coffee. So anyone who had the need for coffee had nothing to do with me. At the end of the day, when I popped my head into my boss's office to say goodnight, the company president was sitting right across from my boss's desk. Jenna, the president said, craning his neck up from the chair, I look up to you. I had no idea where this compliment was coming from, so I jokingly said, that's probably because I'm wearing heels. We all shared a laugh. At home, I thought about the day, the meeting, the president, and the situation about the coffee, which is when I realized the dynamic at play. Those guys fully expected me to get them coffee because they wanted coffee. They were so used to having their needs met, presumably by the women in their lives, that they didn't know how to react when their needs didn't trump my own. And it gained me respect. Why? Because my actions showed the company president that I regarded myself higher than him, not in a dog eat dog kind of way, and not in a rude or conceited narcissistic way, but in a way that reminded him that we are all responsible for ourselves. And it is our own duty to fulfill our own needs, even when you're the top dog. This is a story I still like to tell, even though it happened many years ago, because it is one of the simplest instances of the power of prioritizing yourself. Small gesture, big impact. There wasn't anything empirically selfish about not making coffee. It just wasn't top of mind to stop what I was doing to fetch something I had no desire for. Put it another way, if I had a craving for coffee and announced to the group, I'm dying for some Starbucks, I'm making a run, does anyone else want anything? Then I'd be showing good manners. But making a Starbucks run for someone else's craving when I know I'm not buying myself any, well, that's just running errands. And last I checked, errand girl was not part of my job description. So I go on, I'll read the next part because I go into self-sacrifice is not always a virtue. Putting others first or self-sacrificing is seen in many cultures as a virtue, except I've never met a yes person who is happy, fulfilled, or truly respected. While helping others can make us feel really good, we need to make sure that doing for others all the time isn't an act to placate our egos or to make us feel needed or important. I could have easily made coffee for the company president to earn brownie points, except I ultimately would have just showed him that I'm a pushover, that I don't value myself, and lost points with him. Who wants a pushover in charge of sales? Really. Remember, placing so much emphasis on gaining external validation or object referral is self-love sabotage. We need to understand that we are enough, whether we decide to constantly carpool half of the Little League team, lend money to a friend in need, get coffee for the team, or not. Being raised a Christian, I do not say this lightly.
What a powerful story. Oh my gosh. The first time I read the coffee story, I was blown away because if we think situationally, especially as women, how many times have we been in those kinds of situations where you can just say no? And it was so powerful. And at the time, you don't really realize what's going on until you reflect and start thinking about it. And that has such a powerful impact.
Yeah.
And I think everybody needs to take that in, that we overextend so much, almost to the point that we don't even realize it, and doing so many things that we think will gain us the validation of others is actually diminishing our self-respect and our self-worth. And that story was so eye-opening in that regard that I was blown away the first time you told it to me, and then reading it in the chapter. So I knew you guys would love this part of the story. So thank you so much, Jenna.
Oh, my pleasure.
I loved having you on today. So, Jenna, tell the audience where they can buy your book and how they can get in touch with you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Kesley, and thank you for having me on. I really appreciate this opportunity. You can pick up the book on Amazon or in brick and mortar stores like Barnes and Nobles and all over the place. Just search for I Love Me More by Jenna Banks. There are a few titles out there with the same name. That's a whole nother story. I didn't realize going into this that there could be many books out there with this exact same title. So you'll definitely want to go look for I Love Me More by Jenna Banks.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much, Jenna, for that powerful, amazing reading. The link to purchase I Love Me More will be in the footnotes. If you guys have any questions about Jenna or how to purchase the book, feel free to reach out to me on Instagram or via Greenleaf. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in, and we will see you guys next time.
Thank you.